Auburn's got a new starting quarterback on the horizon. Let's talk Byrum Brown versus the field. Who's the better quarterback?
Midweek report coming at you, brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in the Opelika area, you'll see the address. And if you're in Birmingham, head on downtown, 2616 7th Ave. Rage out, Hulk out, smash out, whatever you got to do to get that frustration out. The Rage Room has some unique solutions for you. Some safe, legal ones at that. Break some car seats, bust up some windshields. It's a fun time, I promise you. And if you're not into all that, you can throw axes, or they got a paint splash room, like weirdly like satisfying time there. Hit the Rage Room. Let them know that the War Report sent you. They'll do a little something extra there for you at the counter. Do us a favor, sign up as a member. $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate all our patrons, our green name gang in the chat. And you can give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. Give away a membership today. Let's see if we can get 40. Give it away. You guys have been doing a great job in helping us do this. So let's keep that party going. Check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. Head on over to your favorite podcast platform, hit subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and leave us a 5-star review so we can climb those podcast charts. Before we get into it, definitely want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER. Get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. Again, code REPORT so they know that the War Report sent you.
All right. Let's get into today's conversation. Everybody knows Byrum Brown's the guy for Auburn next season. A lot of new faces around the SEC in terms of starting quarterbacks. We want to ask the question today. Out of every quarterback that Auburn will face this year, we won't go through all the quarterbacks in the SEC, but out of every quarterback, Power 5 quarterback, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know who Samford's going to be starting at quarterback or anything like that, right? Out of every starting quarterback in the Power 4 that Auburn will face this season, head to head, who are you taking? Byrum Brown or the other guy? We're going to go through these one by one, week by week, and determine who's got the better resume, who is the better prospect for the 2026 season based upon what they've already done or what people assume that they will do. There's some talented quarterbacks coming up on here, but let's get to it, Mike G. Let's go straight into this. You've got a graphic here about the season. Auburn starts the season, of course, in Atlanta versus Baylor, which means out the gate.
Karmic justice. Yes.
He is going to get an opportunity to face DJ Lagway, who is the presumptive starter for the Baylor Bears in game number 1 in Atlanta. Mike G, Byrum Brown or DJ Lagway, which would you rather have as your starting quarterback? Game 1, both with new programs, one of whom is going to be same system, other one's going to be learning a new system. Who's going to have the better game? Who would you rather have as your signal caller in that one?
I have a hard time respecting anybody who goes from the SEC to the Big 12. Come on,
why are you taking shots at Walker White?
he ain't at Baylor no more, so it don't even matter. He didn't start there. Look, this is hard for me, right? And it'd be different if Walker started in the SEC and went to the Big 12. He never played. So if you're a journeyman headed to the Big 12, looking for an opportunity to get some tape, more power to you. If you're DJ Lagway and you had all the tape, and then Baylor's the place you went, we whooped Baylor's ass last year. And listen, I am a certified Baylor Bear hater. I got almost zero respect for that program. Auburn, I don't. And look, if they lose, I'll eat crow. But I last year I called that game 38-21, and everyone told me I was crazy. You think Auburn's going to score 38 points? They can barely. I said, no. You guys are underestimating how terrible Baylor is. The talent gap is massive. It was massive in 2025. It will be just as massive in 2026. And I think this is advantage Auburn at QB. I do. You're playing in Atlanta, which is practically a home game. I don't know that matters much to Byrum Brown because I don't know if he's ever played in Atlanta. But it will have a home game atmosphere for Auburn in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Make no doubt about it. And for those of you, if this is your first time watching the show, if you're joining us on social media right now on Twitter, Atlanta is it's and whenever I talk to my friends who are not from the South, they are always shocked at how close Auburn is to Atlanta. When I tell you it's like an hour, if you drive like me, it's an hour. It's a home game. It is a home game for Auburn, and Auburn should win that game. Look, I think they got a great – is Spavital still at Baylor, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, right. I mean, so they're pairing them up with a pretty good OC. But, I think Lagway is talented. I think Byrum Brown is got more experience. I think he's in a good system at a better school. He's paired with his previous coach. And, the 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher now donning an Auburn jersey under a markedly different system than we've seen at Auburn in the past. And this is what I need people to do. I think we said this on a previous show. I need people to divorce what Auburn has done these last few years from this coaching staff. It doesn't matter what they did last year. It doesn't matter what they did the year before that. This is a different coaching staff with a different philosophy and a lot of different players. If I am going to set my expectations, I'm going to set it based on what Alex Golesh has done the last few years, wherever he's been at, not on what Auburn has done. I don't know. I just feel like in year 4 for Byrum Brown, we should be getting peak Byrum Brown. Do you think Baylor is going to get peak DJ Lagway? What is that even?
So I'm sitting here looking at his statistics. Last year, 2,264 yards, 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
14 picks?
16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, a QBR of 59.3. He threw 63.2% was his completion percentage last year. And as far as rushing totals, 71 carries for 136 yards, averaging 1.9 yards per carry with 1 touchdown last year.
Right.
Keep in mind, we've seen this duel actually happen with USF versus Florida last year, and Byrum Brown won that one as far as his team got the dub, Florida versus USF with these two quarterbacks. So, yeah, I'm going to have to take Byrum Brown as well in this one. And that's not disrespect to DJ Lagway because I do think that he's a very talented quarterback.
Yeah, he's talented.
I just think that game 1, new system, new players, all of that. I don't know how DJ Lagway in the process of spring, summer, fall camp surpasses what Byrum Brown has in this system with a lot of his same wide receivers. After 3 years, I think it's too much of a mountain for DJ Lagway to even possibly climb to outduel him in this game, unless the Baylor defense is way better than they were last year in stopping the run. This may be an embarrassment on the run, in the run game this season.
Jackson Arnold ran all over them.
That's what I'm saying, bro. With the stable of running backs that Auburn has this year and Byrum Brown, I just don't know how Baylor gets in. again, if DJ Lagway was, if his offensive coordinator, which he wasn't super successful, was traveling with him and he was going into a system that you could, like, Spavital, I think, is a really great offensive coordinator. I don't know that anything that Spavital is going to be able to do in one offseason is going to put him in position to be able to outduel a defense that's going to be coached again by a defensive coordinator that's seen you just a year before. Like, what are you doing that's going to be so drastically different that I think you're going to outduel them? Again, I to give me Byrum Brown in those two quarterback scenarios. Now, let's switch it. If Byrum Brown were the coach at Baylor and DJ Lagway were the coach, or not the coach, excuse me, the QB at Baylor, and DJ Lagway were the quarterback at Auburn, does that change anything in your mind? Or do you still say, like, because again, that does change the math on who's got the upper hand as far as system and all that sort of thing. Is Lagway a better fit for what they want to do in Golish's system, and that would improve him? How are you feeling about that?
I think that Byrum Brown with Golish is one of the best fits in the SEC in 2026.
Agreed.
Right. And so we did a segment. I think we have the graphic here, right? Like, look at these dudes. These are potentially the top 5 QBs in the SEC next year, right? Outside, like, we left Byrum Brown off of this list, but hard to argue with Arch Manning returning, right? Gunnar Stockton, same thing. They're fresh off a playoff berth. Marcel Reed, same thing. I mean, God, they should have been in the SEC championship game if they didn't flub versus Texas. But I mean, he had, a really good season, and he'll look to improve on that 62% completion percentage. John Mateer, when Auburn and Oklahoma played, I said the winner of this game would make the playoffs, and he got hurt, and they still made the playoffs. So these dudes are all, the first 4 on this list are all incumbents. And then you got Sam Levitt coming over from Arizona State, but pairing him with Lane Kiffin, like, I mean, listen, for all his antics, I don't question his QB acumen at all. His QBs produce. So if you're giving him Sam Levitt, I got to think Sam Levitt's going to be a top 5 QB in the SEC. So, again, but even though he didn't play in the SEC last year, Ike, it's almost, I mean, again, it's a quarterback staying with his coach. So we can't just overlook them 3,000 yards and the 1,000 passing yards. Put a little bit of better talent around him. And I think that he's right up there with them dudes that we just listed. I really do. Potentially. So,
yeah, again, I like Byrum Brown in this matchup of those two quarterbacks.
Yeah, man, come on, dude.
He's got an opportunity to do some special stuff. With
Trigg is going. Trigg is going from Baylor, right? Like Michael Trigg. Yeah, he's going. Look, they did have some dogs on offense. I thought Trigg looked like a transformer. He looked insane, and he is extremely talented. But I'm just not sure that they're going to have more talent around Lagway at Baylor than Auburn is going to have around Byrum on the Plains.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So this is the advantage Auburn. Game 1, count it, keep the party going.
All right. Next game here on the schedule that we'll talk about, because again, I'm not going to pretend to know about Southern Miss, but this is an intriguing matchup, of course, for a lot of reasons. You've got the Florida Gators making the trip to the Plains. Listen, neutrals, like let's take the environment and all that out of it, neutral site and all that. Let's just say that that's the situation. Presumptively, and I'm getting this off of Saturdays Down South, so if you disagree with anything about who's going to be starting where, you can blame them for that, not Ike Jones. But Saturdays Down South projects the transfer from Georgia Tech, Aaron Philo, I don't know how you pronounce that name. Apologies to young Aaron, as the presumptive starter there. Following his offensive coordinator. So this is going to be a situation where he'll be playing in the same offense that he had been previous to now, even though he didn't get starting reps there. How are you feeling about this matchup? Byrum Brown versus Aaron Philo.
This is a juicy one for me. And I love that we get this game in September. all the hubbub about John Summerall, and Alex Golesh ends up being the hire. And the more I learned about these two guys, the more I think Auburn got the right guy, but also the better guy. Auburn got the better guy. Look, I don't know how this isn't advantage Auburn. Again, the incumbent QB and coach. There's no change really for Byrum Brown. He doesn't have a learning curve. He had to learn a new system. He didn't have to get used to nothing. I mean, the amount of
neither will
that they brought on,
right? Like his offensive coordinator's there in Florida, so
fair enough. But I don't know, man. I just think that there are more familiar elements around Byrum Brown than
that
there
I'll
are.
agree with 100%. Like,
Right?
you know, I think the receivers coming as well, I think, is what tips it for me. Again, I think even if Auburn had kept all the receivers from last year and didn't get any of them from USF, I think I'd still go Byrum Brown here, just from he's proven it, even though it hasn't been in the SEC. But listen, Philo hasn't played any significant snaps in a Power 4 contest. So it's difficult for me to like know exactly who he is and is going to be. And they liked him enough to bring him over from Georgia Tech to feel like they were going to be getting something good out of him. But man, I don't know. I think I still take Byrum Brown in that scenario. And let me be clear, you know, I'm not saying Auburn definitely wins these games. I think Auburn has the better QB performance. This is not a schedule and win-loss projection that we're doing right now. I think that Auburn gets the better quarterback performance, whether that is on the ground, as we mentioned, versus Baylor, because I think they're going to run all over that Baylor defense unless they have done some amazing things that I have not been paying attention to in the offseason on the defensive line. I don't know how that Baylor defense gets better at stopping the run, and you've got a train in Byrum Brown coming at you with that one. Florida is going to have the athletes to be able to compete in that way. But again, I've already seen Byrum Brown against Florida, albeit different Florida coaches, all that kind of thing. I've seen this play out before. So I'm going to take Byrum Brown in that matchup as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Golesh has to want this one. The competitor in him has to want this one. And, you know, he's going to be able to do some things that bringing Byrum Brown over allows him to be able to clearly know what his limits are from a play calling standpoint, right? He knows what his quarterback can execute. I don't know if by the time this game happens that John Summerall is going to have a full grasp on that. Golesh absolutely will. He's going to know exactly what he can trust Byrum Brown with. He's going to know how his dude's going to perform in crunch time. With way more talent around him. So this being the opening game to Auburn's SEC schedule is chef's kiss, man. And we're really going to find out who Byrum Brown is. I think we're going to know in the month of September. Auburn fans, you will know exactly what kind of season you're going to have by the end of September.
Yeah.
I believe that.
You got to come out the gate swinging here. You don't have any opportunities to really slip during September.
This was the advantage Auburn to me. I think this is advantage Auburn. You know, if you disagree, I get it. I just think you're wrong. This is advantage Auburn. So, yeah, like I said, when you look at the dudes who are coming back, you have to treat Byrum Brown as if he is a guy that's coming back. I think his situation ranks up there with 4 of these dudes. Don't you?
I mean, it's very similar to what you had last year with John Mateer. I think that's probably the best comparison of like bringing over the same offensive mindset into this new scenario, and you're putting him next to better athletes, right? And so, particularly on the defensive side, no disrespect to whatever USF was doing last year defensively, I think he's going to have a better defense that's going to be lining up with him this year. A lot of the same athletes on offense, right? And so I'm not saying that that's going to be a drastic change, but I do think having a better defense along with the offensive capabilities that are there for Auburn puts Byrum Brown in a much more advantageous position.
Yeah, I can't wait to ask Golesh about this game. I can't. We're doing
It's gonna be.
our.
I mean, you. If it doesn't feel personal, I don't know how it doesn't, right? Because this was the guy you were matched up head to head with for the job that you currently have. And this is going to be the game that people will use as a measuring stick for who got it right.
Yeah, for sure. Like, can you imagine if Golis just whoops Summerall in this
I
one?
can't imagine that, actually.
Yeah. How vindicated do you think John Cohen is going to feel?
Oh, John Cohen is going to be over the moon.
He might throw himself
Auburn
a party.
steamrolls Florida.
Yo, for sure. 100%. So, look, man, it's the coach hiring process is always very fluid. You know, we know it's the guy until it's not. And, I reported out on this. There were some things about Summerall and why he ended up backing away from Auburn that makes me glad that he's not the coach here.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, the things that have come out about that make me just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, we got the right dude.
And then after watching him give that speech to the Florida crowd at halftime, I was done.
Terrible.
I was out completely then. I was just like, what is this guy? Who is this guy?
Those are the kind of sound bouts we need here. So, like, again, you looking at this schedule, Florida, I think, again, advantage Auburn. We're at September 19th. We're 3 weeks in now. Two P4 games. Advantage Auburn. All
right. Next matchup, we got Dustin joining us here. Justin, we're doing a little Byrum Brown versus the field with the Auburn schedule here on the first half of the program. We've already gone through the first two. Let me just get your opinions really quickly. DJ Lagway, Byrum Brown, who would you take?
Byrum Brown, easy.
Byrum Brown, Aaron Philo.
Brown, easy.
Brown, easy, yeah.
And look, I do think DJ Lagway is very talented, but obviously there's a lot of question marks for the system he's going into and everything like that. So
yeah. All right. Next up, Vanderbilt, and you're going to be playing against Jared Curtis. According to, again, Saturdays Down South. If you don't like who they have projected, don't blame me. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating what was said here. 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis from Nashville signed with Vandy. They're expecting to start the true freshman there next season. Would you take the true freshie or Byrum Brown to have the better performance in that game? Now, you've got an amazing brain trust there offensively for Vanderbilt that has produced some really great results with Diego Pavia over really the last 3 seasons. 3 seasons. 2 at Vanderbilt, 1 at New Mexico State. Do you think the true freshman comes in here, the 5-star prospect, and out-duels Byrum Brown in the statistics category? Again, I'm not projecting wins and losses, just what QB performs the best. How are y'all feeling about that matchup?
In no way are you taking the Frosh over Byrum Brown. No way. No, sir. You can't take him over. I mean, look, I think people are very delusioned by what Diego Pavia has been able to do at Vanderbilt over the last few years, and credit to him. Dude, he took Vandy to unknown Vandy heights.
Yeah.
But that gravy train is over. And this kid may end up being good, but I don't think that this is going to be advantage Vandy in any kind of way.
Dustin, how you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we never even said they could play college football yet, and you've seen Byrum Brown turn in a historical season just last year. So the answer there is easily Brown. Now, Vanderbilt as a team is going to be one of the more fascinating programs in the SEC, in my opinion, because like Mike said, Diego's kind of carried them the last couple of seasons, but Clark Lee, his name has kind of shot up the board. I mean, you saw his name float around for the Auburn job when it was open. How real was that? Whatever. But his name was getting mentioned for those big jobs and stuff. Is it just Diego Pavia? Was it just him? Like, we're going to find out about them this year, and that's interesting. But you've seen Bryce Underwood, Raiola at Nebraska, very talented 5-star true freshmen, go to pretty good situations, and still they look like freshmen. I mean, we saw just in Deuce Knight, 5-star freshman, his improvement from the Ball State game to the Mercer game. Now, not a great sample size there, but you're going to start that kid in an SEC schedule from week 1. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and I would anticipate DJ Durkin getting after that young man.
Yeah, I think that's the other portion of this that makes it advantage for Byrum Brown is the defensive coordinator that he's going up against. Now, I respect Clark Lee and what he is as a defensive mind. And I think that he had one of the more assignment sound defenses last season in Vanderbilt. And Auburn ran up and down the field on him. Right? Like, that was a defense that had been stingy to that point in the season, and they were just not known for being and they were with an offense in Auburn that had not looked like anything. They moved the ball at will, albeit new offensive coordinator. They didn't have really a chance to scout what they were going to be doing. All that sort of thing didn't matter. They had no answer for Auburn for the vast majority of that game. And I don't know that that's going to get better with an offense that is going to be spearheaded by a guy like Brown, who's been in this system for longer. Give me Byrum Brown in that head-to-head matchup versus a true freshman. Next up on the schedule, you've got the Tennessee Volunteers, who also will be starting a brand new quarterback. Tennessee is going to have Faison Brandon. Faison Brandon is, let me just make sure I'm having this correct. Says it's a toss-up for him, obviously, in this one. He is redshirt freshman. So yeah, there's going to be a brand new guy starting for them. Hasn't had any experience doing anything yet. I mean, I don't know. The Tennessee, similar offensive strategies, right? You got Josh Heupel and Golish, who have the same kind of offense that they're going to run. I do believe that Auburn's going to lean more on the run, and Tennessee probably is going to lean a little bit more heavily on the pass, even though Tennessee has had good run games as well since Heupel's been there. Best running games that they had, Alex Golish was also there, right? So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know that I can take a guy that you haven't seen play football over Byrum Brown in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean, they also have a kid named George McIntyre there that a lot of folks thought might actually be the safer pick, to play there if Aguilar didn't win his legal battle.
Which I think he's still fighting, so he's trying to get back another year. So, and which will change the math on that, right? Like, is Aguilar in another season in Knoxville a better comparison to like what would happen with Byrum Brown year 1 in Auburn, albeit with the same system?
Yeah, I think Aguilar's done, honestly, based on what I've read about that. So, Tennessee will be breaking in somebody new. And look, this is Heupel versus Golish.
Right.
This is another one of those underrated coaching matchups that we get
That's
to see with two guys who are very familiar with each other's systems, right? I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to like Byrum Brown with Golish over whatever brand new QB Tennessee is potentially. If Aguilar was returning, I might give this one to Tennessee. If Aguilar was returning, I would give this one to Tennessee. Not by a ton, but I would give it to Tennessee. Without him, I think that it's clearly Byrum Brown.
Thoughts on that, Dustin?
My question is about what is Tennessee's defense going to be? Because 2 years ago, they were one of the best defenses in the SEC. And then last year, they were one of the worst. So what version of the Vols defense are you going to get? Obviously, going to Rocky Top is tough. But yeah, Byrum Brown, again, an experienced quarterback that has proven production versus a young quarterback that we don't know anything about. I'm taking Byrum Brown. Very interested to see what the Volunteer defense is going to be. And the fun matchup here, like, I'm really high on Josh Heupel's offensive mind and play calling. So him versus DJ Durkin, that's going to be fun to watch. And a big opportunity for the defense, because as we're going through this, you've got two young quarterbacks back-to-back there in Vanderbilt versus Tennessee. Like, on paper, you look at that matchup and you look at that little stretch there and you say, this is tough. But maybe there's an opportunity, a couple of young quarterbacks for DJ to get after them boys.
I think that DJ Durkin is going to be both defensive coordinators. Let me just not say DJ Durkin. Both defensive coordinators will have a unique opportunity to get some intel on what the other person likes to do. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how they're able to say, hey, when I was there with Heupel, XYZ, and this is what they like to do, and blah, blah, blah. And this is how he likes to call this in this scenario, even though I do think Golish was the play caller primarily while he was there in Tennessee. But same thing for Heupel. He's going to be able to get into that defensive room and be like, hey, this guy was my OC, right? Like, I can tell you, these are the things that they like to do, and we're seeing what they're doing here in Auburn these first couple of games. Here's the tendencies that I see based upon that type of stuff. So I think it's going to be, like you said, sneaky, one of the best coaching matchups of the season, because of the familiarity of those two offensive guys with what the other person likes to do.
Yeah, I mean, look at where we're at on the schedule here. One of the points that I was making was Auburn, despite the losing records, how many times have they found themselves in the last 3 years in the fourth quarter with a chance to win the game? Like a lot. A lot. So despite the losing records, they've been knocking at the door. I don't think that's going to be any different this season. And we're already at the Tennessee game, right? We're 5 games into the season, and we haven't gotten to a team I think that was going to be an overwhelming favorite over Auburn, or is overwhelmingly better because we're talking quarterback at the quarterback position.
No, Auburn's gotten some opportunities here to get a really good start to the season.
Yeah, like if he can get more out of them, if this is Byrum Brown's best season of college football yet, no regression, only 4. Listen, if he only does what he did last year, it will still be one of the greatest statistical seasons in Auburn history. I don't know. I think Auburn's going to find themselves on the right side of this, and finding a guy at quarterback every single year is hard. That's why I admire how many years in a row Alabama was able to do it, to seemingly have the right guy at QB to take them, to the promised land. And, if you're Tennessee, you're like, all right, after they walked away from Nico, which seems like it was the right decision, it panned out for them. I look at the string of quarterbacks and I'm like, all right, what are the odds that they're due for a bust at QB?
Josh Heupel knows how to coach him up, man.
He does. He does.
I didn't think Joey Aguilar was going to be very good going into that year based upon his touchdown to interception ratio. And, he still threw, some picks last year, but that offense was still out there humming for the vast majority of the season. But again, is Auburn going to be better in pass defense this year? I think it's going to be a big contributor into how that quarterback performs, because again, Heupel's going to dial it up. They're going to figure out how to get, some opportunities to take the deep shots. Can Auburn be better in pass defense so that they're not giving up, 40 points in this game because Tennessee's just making it rain out there?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Aguilar was the 3rd best passer in the SEC last year. And, I mean, he was only 2 yards behind Ty Simpson in terms of yardage.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, but he had a much better, average yard per throw than Ty Simpson had.
Yeah, Simpson struggled down the field a lot last year.
Yeah,
he was good at the short and intermediate stuff down the field. He wasn't very good. Aguilar, he'll make you pay if they were behind the defense. He's going to do that. Question is the next guy going to be that accurate down the field? That's the one thing that Aguilar did have that these guys will not have, is he did play a lot of football before he got to Tennessee. So
fair.
An experienced quarterback coming in with a really good play caller is a really good mix to put in there. Now you're going to get guys that have they will have had 4 games of experience in college. I don't know what Tennessee's schedule is coming up before that game, but I don't know that will be enough for the young guys to be able to take advantage of it.
Of the top 5 passers in the SEC in yards last year, only 1 returns. And it's Marcel Reed. Diego Pavia, gone. Aguilar, right now, we're calling him gone. Ty Simpson, gone. Alabama. Trinidad Chambliss, as far as I know, he lost his case, gone.
Yeah.
There's a
Going to be a lot of
large
opportunities for guys to
opening.
step up and figure out who's going to be the top dog as far as SEC quarterbacks are concerned. And again, when we're looking at the schedule, I like Byrum Brown's chances to be one of those guys in that conversation so far.
If he's not
because
top
I
5,
think he's
I'd
got
be
the right
disappointed.
mix of stuff.
Yeah, if he's not top 5, I'd be really disappointed.
Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed. In terms of passing yards, if he's not top 5, and to be top 5, it's not like you got to pass for 4,000 yards. He just needs to be somewhere around 3,000. You got to remember, some of these dudes in the top 5, they played extra football. They played more football. Trinidad Chambliss played more football. He had a couple extra games. Ty Simpson played more football. Tennessee didn't make the playoff, did they? Did they make the playoff?
No.
All right. Diego Papia, I mean, he played a bowl game. Right? If you ask him, he should have been in the Super Bowl. He should have been Super Bowl MVP. Marcel Reed played more football. He was at 3,100 yards. So if he's not around 3,000 yards, I'm going to be really disappointed. I think it will be an abject failure for Byrum Brown to pass for less than 2,600 yards next year.
I think his rushing attempts are going to be down too, and I think they've signaled that by going out and loading the running back room the way they did.
Yeah. I mean, this was a question I asked Joel Gordon last week at the press conference about running Byrum Brown less, given the talent that he has around him at running back. And he said, well, he's the best running quarterback I've ever seen, so we'd be dumb not to utilize his legs. However, you do want to acknowledge that you feel like, Jeremiah Cobb should be able to take a lot of that load. Byrum Brown had 175 carries last year at QB.
It's crazy.
Jeremiah Cobb had 175 carries last year at running back. I would like to see Cobb carry the ball north of 225. And Brown more in the 120 range, but averaging game buster yards per carry. Because when he does take, you don't have to design as much stuff for him.
Yeah.
So hand the ball off and let those guys do what they do and save him for when you just need when a play breaks down, and then lull them to sleep with your run game in his arm. And then when he does take off, he's gone for 40, 50 yards. This should work. The only way it doesn't is if your offensive line sucks again. So, and maybe that's a question we should be asking in some of these situations. Of all these quarterbacks he's dueling against, who's got the line?
Yeah, and those are questions I don't think we'll have those answers.
Yeah, post-spring. There's a post-spring conversation for sure.
For sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get through the rest of this schedule here. If you all are over on Facebook, if you're over on Twitter, come join us in the party here on YouTube, because that's where we're able to actually get to your questions. We can't pull those statements up on here from those other platforms. So hopefully you guys join us over here if you want to join the conversation like that. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, go ahead and share the content with somebody. We'll be right back with a little bit more midweek report on the other side of this break after we pay a couple of bills. Shout out to the sponsor. Shout out to the Green Name Gang. You're watching the midweek report.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
We want to thank our title sponsor, The Rage Room. Hulk out, smash out, crash out, whatever you got to do, head on over to The Rage Room and do it. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Join as a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate our Green Name Gang for helping keep us financially viable here in the offseason. Also, you can give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. I saw, I think, 20 given away. We need another 20 before the end of the show. And if you are in the chat right now, you don't have a green name, check your email. There could be a gifted membership waiting on you. Guys, I I hate to do this to you, but I love to do this to you. You want to be a member because we're getting ready to drop a series of coaching interviews that you don't want to miss. Our members are actually going to get access to that stuff first. It will release to everybody eventually, but we're in that season where we want to reward our members with instant access to the content that we are filming. That includes our much anticipated interview with one Hugh Freeze, Alex Golish. We're hoping to add Stephen Pearl to the list. Guys, sign up as a member. I promise you will not regret it this offseason. I want to thank our friends at Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates. A lot of people I talk to worry about their finances. It's not just the markets, but real life questions. Am I saving enough? Can I retire comfortably? How do I even get started? That's why I like the team at Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates. They're fiduciary advisors, which means they're legally required to act in your best interest. And they've been doing this for decades. They don't just focus on investment returns. They help you build a strategy and walk with you through every stage of life. If you're looking for clarity and peace of mind, they're worth a conversation. Call Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com. That's AIMAINC.com. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault is the place for you. They're on Highway 431 in Phoenix City, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Do us a favor, guys. Check out thewarreport.com where you'll find our merch store and all our written work, doing lots of different types of things for you guys. YouTube content, social media, but written content as well. I went to the game this week, the Vanderbilt game, saw more of you guys with War Report gear on. I love to see that. We want to continue to see that. You can support our work by buying something in the merch store today. And for those of you who came up and said hi at the basketball game, really appreciate that. Please, thank you so much for listening to our work. We appreciate that a whole lot. Continue to come and say hi when you see me and Ike out and about. Ike is going on the road. I think you got a few more road games left, don't you, Ike?
Arkansas is scheduled for Saturday, and then
going to Mississippi State. At Mississippi State.
I'm about to say Mississippi State. I don't know if I'm gonna make the Oklahoma game.
Okay.
I gotta see what's up on that one.
And then Bama.
At Bama is the last one. So that's not a real road game for real. I mean, it's a road game, but it's down the street.
Yeah. Right.
Let's get into these comments really quickly. Auburn Dad says, War Damn Eagle, War Report fam, and fellas, man, I turned 47 Monday and glad to be AU from birth. Shout out to Auburn Dad, 47 years young. Appreciate all that you do to support the War Report, man, and 60 months of membership. He's an OG right there.
5 years.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Appreciate it so much, man. Couple of people got some War Report memberships courtesy of our guy Wesley Hilson. Thank you so much for gifting those. NH Barner jumps in. Sam Levitt versus Byrum Brown could be cinema. We will get to that one for sure. Alex Golish runs tempo, and Kiffin's defense doesn't play well against tempo. Could be a statement win.
Got to remember, Sam Levitt took ASU to the college football playoff in a year where they were picked to finish dead last in the Big 12. This poll was so wrong that the Big 12 eliminated their preseason media poll for football. They picked Utah to win the conference. Utah finished dead last, and the team they finished dead last finished first.
It's tough. It's tough to do this stuff in this era where so much player movement is happening.
Yeah.
And in this season, when we go to SEC Media Days, not only is there player movement, but there's a lot of new coaches in the conference. Like, I don't know how you determine who you think is going to win this conference. Like, I feel like everybody's just going to go in there and pick Georgia just because Kirby's got the least amount of turnover in terms of who his staff is going to be in his quarterback.
Yeah, the issue with the media poll is this. And Dustin, you were at Media Days with us this past year. So you got a chance to see the great conundrum. All the people you saw walking around. them dudes ain't paying attention to every team. And then when you get the ballot, it's a bunch of guys on there that you've never heard of. And if you say you know every single dude on that list, you are capping. You are absolutely. So what people do is they default to the Georgia and the Alabama names because they're the ones that get mentioned in the media the most. And it's like a subconscious bias where they're just like, well, I don't know who to pick, so I'm just gonna pick somebody from Alabama because they usually have a good DB, right?
Or they pick somebody from the team that they cover.
Yeah.
And how are you going to judge? Like, we know about Auburn, right? But outside of Auburn, how are you going to judge 40 new transfers coming into Auburn? How are you going to judge LSU with 40 plus transfers? Florida, I know their number was north of 30. Like, how you talk about second team, third team, fourth team, all SEC? How in the world do we know?
That's why that's why we do these segments, fellas, where we talk about, who's at other schools. Because, I mean, that's our way of covering it. When we are matching our guy up against these other schools, you got to know who's at the other school.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what happened at ASU that year. Sam Levitt ran them to a college football playoff. Nobody knew who Cam Scatterboo was until he was scatting on everybody. That dude was a beast in the Big 12. So I don't know, man. Like I feel like in this conversation, I love this conversation about Byrum Brown because there's a lot of directions that Alice Golesh could have gone. Ultimately, I would have loved to have seen Deuce stick around on the Plains, but ultimately, Golesh is going to have to go out and find another quarterback anyway. Right after this year, you're gonna have to go out, find another dude, and another dude, and another dude, and another guy. So go find the next one. And Byrum Brown, if he pops off, can you imagine Byrum Brown goes first round in the NFL draft at quarterback because he just put numbers up in the SEC this year? You know what that's going to do for recruiting? Proof of concept, man. Proof of concept.
Would love to see some proof. A whole lot of concepts floating around. Love to see some proof. Canlay jumps in, gives away 10 more report memberships. Thank you so much for that. Another 5 given away here from Lewis. Thank you so much for that.
15 more.
Super chat here from NH Barn Booster, who says it's been 21 years since Auburn beat Georgia in Athens. This year, Brown versus Stockton. Auburn gets the W. Goalish gold. We'll talk about that matchup here in just a moment.
Brown versus Stockton sounds like a bad court case precedent.
It does.
21 years. Has it been 21 years?
It's been 1 year too long.
Feels longer than that.
We were in school at Auburn the last time they did it.
Yeah. James Barnett, fellas, I also think Auburn has the best overall staff. There are a bunch of coordinators on both sides of the ball. Not enough talk about this. Thoughts? Auburn has put together a really good staff. A lot of, particularly, I think, on the defensive side, when you're talking about experience, like former defensive coordinators. So there's definitely a really good staff brewing there. Of course, a lot of what's happening on the offensive side are guys that came over with him from USF. You sprinkle in, the both of the Larrys there, and you've got a really talented staff for sure. I mean, you're talking about some guys that are off the field coaches, well, not off the field coaches, but are not coordinator positions or coaching a room, that are going to be really good. So, yeah, really good staff that they put together. Looking forward to seeing what they're able to produce.
It's definitely improved on the offensive side, and it's much improved on the offensive line. So.
I mean, if it's not improved as far as offensive line coaching, then what are we doing? What are we actually doing? Between the offensive line and the tight end room, if you found a way to get worse.
Well, Golish's track record at tight end makes me feel good about that.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 50 of them on the roster. One of them's got to be good, right? So come on. All right. I have to get out of here in a minute, but I do want to get a couple more here in this Byrum Brown versus the world here that we're doing. Next matchup is the aforementioned Byrum Brown versus Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
Which quarterback will have the better outing in that game? It's going to be at Sanford Stadium. So this is going to be it'll be the second true road test of the season because they will be at Tennessee the week before, or the game before, I should say. They're going to have the off week between. So he's got an off week to prepare. Kirby Smart and that vaunted Georgia machine. Byrum Brown marching into Sanford Stadium, first time ever. Who's going to have the better situation? Gunnar Stockton had an okay game last year versus Auburn. They got the win, but I wouldn't say he was like amazing last season. But he's going to have another year in that system, a little bit more comfort. You know, he's not going to have. I don't think Zachariah Branch is coming back, and he was kind of his go-to guy down the stretch there for Georgia last season. What say you guys? How you feeling?
I'm gonna have.
Would you rather have Gunnar Stockton or Byrum Brown next year as your quarterback?
I'm going with Gunnar in this matchup. At Sanford Stadium, when Gunnar Stockton went on the road to Tennessee last year, and they had that epic duel, every time they needed a throw, I thought Georgia was cooked. I honestly thought they were cooked, and I was so impressed with Gunnar Stockton in that game. And he led the comeback. He did it. He didn't just put up numbers. They won the game. He won them the game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by the time this game rolls around, we'll get a sense of whether Byrum Brown can do the same type of thing. I have a feeling this is going to be an epic matchup.
Listen,
right now,
as you just said, Stockton was clutch last year. If he was nothing else, he was clutch, right? Like he was going to come up with a big throw. He was going to come up with a big first down with his leg. He was going to do something that took your heart away in the fourth quarter. The question is whether or not you could fight back versus what he was going to do there. Yeah, this is Dustin. How you feeling? You got Brown versus Stockton. Which quarterback? If we had to lace it up right now, would you trade them straight up?
Look, for 12 games combined with Alex Golis, give me Byrum Brown. Now the question of who's going to have a better performance on this particular Saturday, like we just discussed, it's been 21 years. As we were started talking about it, I had to remember that was the 05 game, 4th and long. Brandon Cox hooks it up, we fumble it, pick it up in the end zone, that whole deal. Yeah, I was in middle school and I'm in my mid-30s. That was a long time ago. So I got to see it to believe it, y'all. I got to see Auburn actually go into Athens and have a quarterback put up a competence performance before I can just believe that that's going to happen.
There have been some awful QB performances in that stadium.
It's been really
Auburn.
Bad, man. Been really bad.
I honestly can't remember a good quarterback performance in this span of time that we're talking about where somebody went to Georgia and played well. Like the games in which the quarterbacks have played admirably have all been home games.
But if we really went and looked at those games game by game, I bet you we would come away saying the main issue is that Auburn's offensive line got whooped up front by Georgia's defensive line. That's the theme of all of those games.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's where Georgia has been dominant. That's the reason why they remain at the top of the football pyramid every single season is because Kirby's going to load those trenches up, and he's going to make sure he's got some people movers on the offensive line, and he's got some absolute game plan destroyers on defense in both the defensive line and linebacker rooms. Those years where he had it at all three levels were championship seasons, right? Where it was like they had the line, they had the linebackers, and they had a secondary that could lock down. It's like, how do you score points against these guys? It's going to be a test of wills in this game, I do believe. And, you know, honestly, because he's been through those battles, I think I'm going to have to take Gunnar Stockton in this one as having the better performance as well, even though I think Byrum Brown is an amazing athlete. For me, I got to see Auburn's offensive line perform worth a damn.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
To say Byrum Brown can have a big game in that one.
How much is is Byrum Brown going to have to use his legs to just survive the game?
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, he's very athletic, but I want to see him use that athleticism to kind of shock them. But I
think that they're going to, like, you're not going to shock, like, they're going to say, Byrum Brown beat us with your arm.
Yeah, there you are.
Because the teams that are successful versus Georgia, that's typically what happens. It's like the quarterback makes some plays with his arm. Like, unless, and, you know, the year that Jalen Milroe had the big game, really more so in the first half versus Georgia. You know, he used his legs quite a bit in that one. Jalen Milroe is a different kind of like speed at that position. I don't know. I mean, Byrum Brown's a big bruising guy, and he can definitely open it up but like Jalen Milroe, like, is legitimately a running back. Like, he really can, like, in the open field, really run away from guys. I don't know if Byrum Brown's got that kind of gear, and I think you kind of have to. Like, I don't know that you can just run over Georgia linebackers and DBs, because they're going to come downhill and they're going to look to really punish you. And listen, Byrum Brown might be the guy to do it, because he's definitely built for it. But I think that is what Georgia's going to go into that game, and they're going to say, all right, if you can throw it on, it's fine, but we're not letting that guy do it. Not with his legs.
Absolutely. Look,
I
man,
think that Brown is such a talented runner that there are going to be games on Auburn's schedule where his arm is, like, obviously he's going to have to do something with it, but I think there's going to be games where he can just run wild and Auburn can win off of that, like the way that they did back in the day with Nick Marshall. But if there's a couple of games on the schedule where he's going to be forced on third and long to make a good throw and win the game with his arm, and I'm willing to bet it's at Athens is going to be one of those.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree
100% agree with that. All right. Next matchup here. We're getting into the meat of the schedule here, because these matchups are definitely getting better. And this is the other one that we talked about. Sam Levitt, new quarterback for LSU, versus Byrum Brown. One game. Who are you taking in that head-to-head matchup? Would you rather have Byrum Brown as your signal caller or Sam Levitt?
This is the only home game of October.
Yeah.
This is the only home game in October, and it's LSU. Look, I wish a lot of bad things for Lane Kiffin. I hate that how his antics overshadowed the season that Trinidad Chambliss had. Kid had a historic season, man. He was probably the best story in college football last year, and all anybody was talking about was, where's Lane going to coach? But now that he's at LSU, and I like Sam Levitt, I don't think he's a better quarterback than Byrum Brown. However, I have a hard time betting against Lane's QB acumen as well, too. So I'm going to give LSU a slight edge in this one. But I think that this should be a really, really good duel of quarterbacks.
Look, if I was rating Sam Levitt and Byrum Brown on next year's EA college football video game, personally, I would have Byrum Brown a couple of points higher than Sam Levitt. I think he's a better quarterback than Sam Levitt. I also, this season, we'll see, LSU right now, they're the paper national champs. They went and
they went and bought every player they could possibly buy.
They went and got it all, right? I'm just not so sure if that's all going to work out the way that I'm not as high on this Lane Kiffin LSU situation. I'm not as high on Sam Levitt as a lot of people are. Maybe if this game was in Baton Rouge, I would feel a little bit differently about it. But in Auburn, I'm taking DJ Durkin, and I have, like Mike said, I have a ton of respect for Lane Kiffin's offensive mind. I'm not coming on here and saying that he's not brilliant. He is. He will find a way to put up points. But man, we haven't played LSU in a couple of years, and that's one of those teams that, like SEC West back in the day, we kind of grew up on that crazy rivalry. So the Auburn fans are going to be juiced. Let this game be at night, and you have, like, Lane Kiffin has had Auburn in his mouth for the past 5-6 seasons.
Yes.
I think he's going to come into a hostile atmosphere just because it's Lane Kiffin. Auburn fans we've kind of missed playing our rival in LSU. Give me Auburn. And I'll tell you right now, I'm taking Auburn to win that game. Taking Auburn to win that game, and I'm taking Byrum Brown to have a big night.
Listen, in the season that Mike is talking about, where Arizona State shocked the entire conference and made it to the college football playoff, Sam Levitt was a 61.7% QB completion percentage, 2,885 yards that season, 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions.
It was good.
Now, you fast forward a year later, you don't have Cam Scatterboo as your back that you can kind of just lean on, and teams aren't just saying, okay, we got to stop the run and make Sam Levitt beat us. He went into that season with all the hype in the Big 12, and everybody was saying he was going to be the guy. 1,628 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Production dropped off a cliff. He was a 60.7% completion guy, but the production just wasn't there for Sam Leavitt last year. Now, he is going to be going into a situation where he will have – listen, I think he was with a good play caller in Alabama, at Arizona State. So it's not as if, he's not going to have a good play calling system there, and he's going to all of a sudden have now a better play caller. Going to have better athletes around him. Is he going to have the run game support? That's going to be a big question for me with that LSU team. And is that LSU defense going to be worth a damn, right? Like, they weren't very good last year, and that was minus the Lane Kiffin effect of whatever he does to defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Because they just don't perform well when paired with him, even with all the talent that they've had. I think if you're asking me who has the better game today, I'm going to say Byrum Brown in that one. That doesn't mean I think he's the better quarterback overall. I'll borrow a line that Dustin said earlier. Over the process of the year, would Sam Leavitt maybe have the better season with Lane Kiffin at the helm? I think give me Brown in that game statistically.
Just a quick note about his 2025 drop-off. Like, he only played in 7 games last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there was an injury there. But
I don't think he was playing well before that, though.
Yeah, he was barely completing 60% of his passes. So, to your point, like I said, I think that it's hard for me. It's hard for me to question Lane when he picks a quarterback. If he said this is his guy, I'm like, oh man, he's probably gonna put up numbers. But
listen,
I think
Austin Simmons didn't look great at the start of the year for Ole Miss last year before he got hurt. They got blessed with Trinidad Chambliss. Now, again, you got to credit whoever decided to go and pluck him out of Nowheresville and put him on the roster as QB2. Credit to them. But Austin Simmons was just looking okay for Ole Miss before then. So Lane is not. And I think, again, Chambliss was a revelation. Year one quarterbacks in Lane Kiffin's system tend to be more turnover prone than year two. When they're year two of that system, they tend to get a little bit better. So I think, again, I know you've got a couple of games into that season. I do think that advantage Byrum Brown for him having known the system a little bit longer in that game too.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. I got to get out of here because I got to go do dad things. I'm going to let these guys steer this thing to the end, but I enjoy being with you guys tonight. I'll be hollering at you guys later on this week with more basketball content. But still a couple more good matchups left out there to talk about here on Midweek Report. I'll holler at y'all later, War Eagle.
Dustin and I bringing it home here for you guys. So we're in October again. Ole Miss is next up on the schedule, Dustin. So this is potentially Deuce night. As far as we know, Trinidad Chambliss has not won any court cases I know of. So will it be Deuce? Will it be somebody else? I'm giving the advantage here to Auburn. Byrum Brown versus whoever Ole Miss is potentially starting. I think this is potentially fun to see how Deuce does. I'm rooting for him in every game except for that one on the schedule. What do you think about Byrum Brown versus whoever Ole Miss potentially starts at quarterback?
Halloween versus Ole Miss. That's going to be fun, man. That's going to be a fun matchup for sure.
Yeah.
I hope that one's a night game. And be a big test for Auburn because that's a tough month. And that's kind of right there at the end of that really tough stretch.
It's a crazy month.
It is pretty wild. And Alex Golesh is definitely going to get baptized pretty quickly. But, I mean, right now, Mike, this is funny because we've kind of had this – if it's Deuce night, we've kind of had this conversation pre-portal when we were all assuming that Byrum Brown was going to come with Golesh. That was the worst-kept secret in the world. So the whole question was, what do we do with Deuce? In a way, we've already had this conversation about what these two guys are. In my ideal scenario, and I think this is what AG and company tried to do, was you bring Brown in for this 1 year that he has left, and Deuce sits in his QB2 and gets highly compensated for it, and then it's his job the following season. Obviously, he wasn't willing to do that, and now that, like you said, the Chambliss is gone, I think he would be in the driver's seat. I don't know everybody else in their quarterback room, but this is when we talk about these inexperienced quarterbacks, and mind you, I never, ever hid how much I believed in Deuce Knight's talent. I went and watched him multiple times as senior year in high school. I came back and said, second highest rated player I've ever seen outside of Cam Coleman and maybe Keldrick Falk. Like, I believe he's that dude. So if they have a good system there, I think Deuce Knight is going to, like, if he has a good system in front of him, he's going to be a good quarterback. But still, he's only played one game, really, and it was versus Mercer, so there's a lot of inexperience there. Now, by Halloween, he should have some, but still, I'll go back to the Bryce Underwood point as a true freshman. Did he just magically get better as the season went on? No, it was a lot of ups and downs. Progress doesn't always just go like this, right? It can be kind of rocky. So, yeah, I'm taking Byrum Brown. And the interesting thing here is you got a defensive staff that went up against Deuce Knight in some capacity in practice the year before. So kind of what do they know about him and kind of what little intel could they have on him that they could use to their advantage? That'll all be interesting. I'm taking Byrum Brown in this matchup. And as we go through this, there's a lot more than just quarterback. We'll say it again. The offensive line doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if you can't block. But as we go through this, Mike, I'm kind of getting excited because I'm like, man, Auburn's like, we're checking the box here a lot for Auburn in the quarterback position.
Yeah. When you try to look at it objectively, it's crazy. Again, Auburn, there's a lot of change happening in the SEC. Again, I pulled this up earlier, so I'll do it again for you and for our listeners who are just joining us. Right here are some of the potential names that should be at the top of the QB list in the SEC. Right, Arch Manning returns, Gunnar Stockton returns, Marcel Reed returns, John Mateer returns. And then Sam Levitt is the only non-incumbent on this list, Dustin. But he's going to be in a really good situation with a coach that knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. Moving down the list here, again, you got Arkansas up next. We don't need to spend a lot of time here. I think this is advantage Auburn as well, too. What do you think about Arkansas and who they potentially will start in 2026 here? Very interesting. I think KJ Jackson maybe is the guy down there. I don't care. I don't think they got a guy on the roster better than Byrum Brown.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. My bigger question for Arkansas and at SEC Media Days, I want to ask some Arkansas people, how serious is that program about football? Like, are they serious about competing in the SEC in football? They're serious about baseball, and that's great. They're serious about basketball. That's great. How serious are they competing in football? The fact that I'm even asking that question kind of tells me the answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like and here's the thing. If you're Alex Golesh, I know Auburn snuck around and barely beat Arkansas last year, but the gap between Auburn and Arkansas is not what it needs to be. It's time for Golesh to come in and separate this back to the we need to be kicking Arkansas's ass every year, Mike. I'm tired of even being in ball games with them.
Yeah,
let's losing to them every other year.
I could not agree more. Mississippi State is up next. Is Kamario Taylor potentially someone who could give Auburn some trouble at Mississippi State? What do you think about Mississippi State? Again, I have a hard time finding a guy better than Byrum Brown on this schedule. Now remember, Auburn dodges a lot of these dudes next year. So when you're looking at this schedule, let me take you back here. You don't play Marcel Reed, you don't play John Mateer, but you don't play Arch Manning. So you'll see Gunnar Stockton and Sam Levitt, but like Auburn, they dodge a lot of dudes that should be at the top that we know are going to be dudes.
Yeah, a lot of tiger bait for DJ Durkin.
It is. It is.
Sitting there.
Obviously, we'll skip over Sanford. Alabama. Now, this to me is interesting because Byrum Brown has actually played Alabama the last couple of years.
That's right.
Right? So this is a team that he's familiar with. Let's talk about how that went for Byrum Brown. In 2024, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and in 2025, he did as well. But in the 24 game, he was 15 for 35 for 103 yards. He had 23 rushes for 108 yards. No touchdowns, though. They lost that game 42-16. But, Dustin, that was a one-point game headed into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That was a one-point game headed into the fourth quarter, man. Talk to me about Alabama here and Byrum Brown. and whoever they're potentially starter, Keelan Russell, I think is a name that seems to be a popular one, talking about who's going to take the job there.
We talked about having to see it to believe it in terms of beating Georgia. Kind of there with on the road at Alabama, haven't done it since the comeback in 2010. You're going to have to show me that you're able to handle that moment. But again, maybe if Ty Simpson was coming back, Mike, I would go with a different answer here. But unproven quarterback over there. And I don't think Alabama's going to be a bad team. I'm not predicting Auburn to go in there and win that football game. I think I'm at the point with Georgia and Alabama to where you're going to have to show me you can do it before I say that. But in terms of just pure the situation at quarterback, give me Byrum Brown. And if you're watching this and you're like, this guy's just booging out, he's just picking his team, he's just an Auburn fan, you can check my social media. I've been on Byrum Brown for quite some time, long before I knew he was going to be at Auburn. I just think really, really highly of him, Mike. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the conference next year. So, yeah, give me Byrum Brown in this one as well.
Yeah,
and it actually gives you some hope finally going into Bryant-Denny. It's like, all right, we got a dude at the most crucial position. It gives you a chance. You haven't felt that way for some time.
Yeah. I like Byrum. I like Byrum in a lot of these matchups. Again, before we get out of here, let's just look at it one more time. This is the schedule. So DJ Lagway to kick off your season, and then potentially Byrum Brown versus Aaron Philo. Vanderbilt, Jared Curtis, the elite freshman recruit there, potentially the guy. And then you've got George McIntyre potentially at Tennessee, who you'll be facing. We know Gunnar Stockton is a dude. We know Sam Levitt is a dude. Could Deuce Knight be the guy that Byrum Brown is facing off against versus Ole Miss? We'll take a look at that one. Then you come to Arkansas, right? And KJ Jackson, a name there, Kamario Taylor at Mississippi State, and then whoever Alabama decides to roll out there. And Byrum Brown, again, you're getting a third shot at Alabama for a third year in a row. And I know this is one that probably Alex Golish wants to get. And I like this because there's some experience there, right? If you're Golish, versus the Tide. So he knows what this is about. This is, he coached at Tennessee, so he knows all about Alabama. Man, come on. Like, this dude knows what this rivalry is about. And I think that, this schedule kind of sets up, even though it's tough, that October is tough. And you got to take care of business in September, because I'm telling you, every single game in October is a toss-up or a loss. We'll see what it looks like. When we do toss it, loss it again this year, I can't wait to see, how you guys pick October. But boy, I don't know. I don't have any boss. Right now, I'm not sitting on any boss games in October, bro. Like, this is a really rough October slate. And then in November, it looks super manageable. Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford.
I only have one loss in October, though, Mike. Like, I'll say toss Tennessee. I just predicted Auburn to beat LSU, so I guess I'll go boss on that one. I'm not super high on that prediction right now. The percentage would probably be 51 to 49%, right? But and then Ole Miss, that's a toss. So, like, that's a tough one. But to me, there's a lot of toss-ups in October. If you come out 2-2, buddy, you're living good.
Yeah, this is a 9-game SEC schedule, only one bye week this year. Now, we got 2 byes last year, but there's only one bye in this 9-week schedule. That bye will come between the Tennessee and Georgia games there. October 10th will be an off week for Auburn. So, look, man, the story will be about Byrum Brown a lot of the season. And because quarterback has been such an underwhelming position for Auburn here the last few years, a lot will say that system had to do with it. We'll see. I've got one last interview left on the schedule, Dustin, to put a bow on what happened at quarterback the last 3 years. I'm going to sit down with you next week, and we're going to get that interview in the books. So we're filming that one in person. You guys know how I like to do my head coaching interviews in person. I don't like the virtual thing. He went on a little bit of a press run there in January, and I'll let everybody get their rocks off with that interview. There was a lot of clickbait there, and now I want to sit down and have a real interview with you, where we get into it and we get to the nitty gritty of things. No oh, what happened with Jackson Arnold? And okay, yeah, like no. I want to talk about your system, your approach, how you manage this thing, right? So that fans understand why things could be different under Golish. They marry what Auburn has been to the current staff. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's a brand new staff. There's a lot of brand new players. And just because Auburn didn't score a lot of points last year, like that has nothing to do with this staff and their approach. It can be markedly different year over year when you bring in enough new players and a completely new approach. But
yeah, I think a lot of that is like I think some of that, Mike, is a perception that Auburn's earned. I mean, the offense has really kind of been stagnant since 2017, especially since 2020. It's just been really bad. So I get why people look at it and are just like, I don't think Auburn can do offense. But to your point, none of that has anything to do with Alex Golish. And there's 40 new players, so it's really a brand new team anyway. And we've seen this new era of college football. I mean, Indiana was the most losing program of all time, and then 2 years national championship.
Yeah,
flip it quick.
You can, especially in the age of the portal. It's going to be an exciting February for us here at the War Report. I promise you guys, you want to be a patron. These interviews will be made patron only initially. So our patrons will have about 4 to 5 days to see this interview before we release it for everyone else. Sign up. It's part of the advantage that we give to the people who support us financially. This work isn't free. Ike has been on the road all year covering Auburn sports, and he's only missed a couple of away games. So the tournament is coming, and for those of you who sign up for these patron memberships, we want to be able to give back to you, giving you early access to content. I do all the editing for the channel, guys. When I say when I'm done with this Freeze interview, that it will go live for you guys as soon as I can upload it. You're going to get to see this interview. If you've seen my interview content before, this is going to be a good interview. Yeah. And it's not going to be like any of the other ones you saw him do. It's a point of pride for me, Dustin, and what we do, that I feel like our interview content is heads and tails better than other interview content that I've seen. My sit down with Freeze last year was so good. And I thought that he was candid. I thought he was real, and despite how it turned out, I had some tough questions for him. And I'm not going to disrespect the man just because I don't like the results. I try to be respectful, but I wanted to ask some real questions about what Auburn had been and what we were to expect this season. And it will be the same kind of interview. But if you don't want to hear from Hugh Freeze, we got Alex Golish a week from now as well, 2 weeks from now. So we'll be bringing you that interview where we will sit down with him. He's doing a little bit of a press run. Again, we're going to sit down with him in person and really dig into that. And then I'm scheduling Stephen Pearl to sit down with Ike to talk about Auburn basketball and where they're at on the eve of the SEC tournament. So we have got really, really good content coming for you guys here the next 3 weeks. Sign up as a patron and get in on that content. Dustin, before we get out of here, I want to thank you for joining me on today's show. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, one thing I want to say too about these interviews, Mike, is like you did the one with the athletic director before John Cohen, as the process is going on, right? Bookmark that, because he said a lot of things about what kind of coach he wanted to hire and in his future, what his vision for the future of the program was. That's content that we could revisit in 2 or 3 years and look at and say, what did you say when you were hiring this coach? And then how did it all go? It's like a peek into his mindset. So it's really important. And I think you do a great job. We got a lot going on over at the Uptempo podcast, man. And I love this comment right here. A positive Dustin is crazy work. Brother, I've been positive since November 2nd, 2025. Since that news came across that bottom screen, since my phone got that update, it's been nothing but positive work. I'm so bought into Coach Alex Golish and what he's got going on. So come over to the Uptempo podcast, man. We got baseball starting off this week. Going to be covering that. We're obviously talking. I think it's going to be a great season. You had one of the best players last year in baseball, and Ike Irish, and you're going to have maybe the best this year in Chris Rimber. It's going to be a special season. I love the rotation, the baseball program taking off. Did an episode today talking about what's wrong with the basketball program. What I think is it's just some flaws in this roster, Mike. You can't, no depth. You don't have any interiors presence. There's some holes there. Talked about that, and we're doing it for every transfer portal edition. And for every high school recruit in the previous class, we're doing film breakdowns for the members. So got Senior Bowl stuff up from the Senior Bowl a couple weeks ago. Talked to Jeremiah Wright, Kieron Crawford, and those guys. Got to talk with Coach Alex Goller. So go check out all of that. And yeah, tomorrow the episode, I'm going to be looking back at my bold predictions from last year, and some of them we came close on, Mike, and some of them we missed by a long shot. So we'll be looking at that, and that'll be fun, man. Appreciate you having me tonight.
A couple comments before we get out of here. Anthony Long says, this is off topic, but will the B-ball team make the tourney? They certainly have some work to do, Dustin. Well, before I think I have it here, the remaining schedule, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky. They're at Arkansas, at Mississippi State, home versus Kentucky, at Oklahoma, and home versus Ole Miss and LSU, and then at Alabama to finish the season here. So, look, man, there's 7 games left on the schedule. I think to be safe, they've got to get to 19 wins. I would love to see them get to 20. However, to get to 20, they're going to have to clean 6 out of the last 7. That's a tall task. They've already beat Arkansas once this season. So can they go on the road and do it? And can they take care of business versus Alabama a second time? We will certainly see. 199 Super Chat exclusive TV says Byrum Brown will have at least 50-plus yards rushing each game. Right? And then HYTY Fishing says Byrum Brown ran a 22.5 mile per hour and Milroe ran 21.9.
Byrum's a bad boy, dude. Like he's something else. He's something else.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's fast, he's athletic, he's strong. Hopefully he's showing off all those talents here this fall on the Plains. Let's go on and get out of here. Guys, do us a favor. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys. We're still working this off season. We're no days off, no weeks off at the War Report or at the Uptempo Podcast, part of the War Report Podcast Network. Share this on social media at the War Report. Hashtag get your weight up so that they know that you found us at the War Report on X and Instagram, TW Report on the TikToks. Let's go on and get out of here. We're signing off. And as always, War Eagle.
War damn, baby.